Hey there! It is Sunday, October 1st, 2023, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. No matter where you might be YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Twitch, or our friends on TikTok. Um, and so we are DPF Guys. If you don't know that already, we're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We focus 100% on diesel after treatment services for anything with the diesel engine and emission system. Again, that's going to be everything from EGR cooler, EGR valve, seventh injector, DOC, DPF, SCR, etc. And we can help you diagnose and repair that stuff, clean it, get you back on the road like new, hopefully, and do it quickly and hopefully affordably. Most of our customers are truck drivers and fleets, but we also service after treatment for off road equipment, earth movers, you name it. And diesel passenger vehicles, your BMWs, Mercedes, Sprinter vans, and stationary equipment with DPF systems, generators, pumps, rock crushers, and more, like even the big tippers at the landfill. So if it has a DPF, we can clean it. Disclaimer: you should always talk to your mechanic about any concerns you have with your engine or truck, and any pricing discussed here may or may not apply to you and should only be used as a guideline and is not any form of an official quote for any services by DPF Guys or anybody else on the planet or solar system or galaxy. So, what we do is collect questions that come in um, throughout the week and then answer them here. And of course, if you would like, you can definitely type the questions in here. We're also doing a TikTok live, which is kind of like a behind the scenes thing we do. And that camera is actually above. So occasionally, if I look away from you and look up, I'm actually saying hi to my friends on TikTok. Hello, everyone. And they're actually pounding some questions into the live there that I can answer later. And of course, you can, like I said, you can ask your questions here on Facebook or on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube, or you can jump over to TikTok and join the live there and kind of see the behind the scenes and maybe the top of my head for a while. Once we're done with the live on YouTube and Facebook, everywhere else, I'll say goodnight to you all, and then I'm going to spin around and focus on the TikTok crew and get down and dirty, roll up our sleeves, and talk about everything you can possibly imagine. So let's get to work. Hang on a second here. What do we have for our first question? So it is, if I wanted to swap mine out before it becomes plugged, can I do so without a computer, or does it need recalibration? And this question came in off of based on a video on TikTok that inspired a very good question. And so let me do this. I'm going to play the video that inspired this question, and then I'm going to come back to you and kind of talk about my thoughts on the question. So check this out.
Manufactured DOC, DPF, and SC are ready to go for many models. Text or call for 0499911361 with part number for price and availability.
Hello, hello. Happy Saturday. What you're looking at behind me is a metric shit ton of OEM, DPF, DOC, Volvo One boxes that have been cleaned, have a 1-year warranty, and are ready to go. So if you've got a newer Volvo, we've got filters ready for you. We also have the One box for the Volvo, which has the SCR and the DOC into one unit. This is for the newer Volvos. And Macs too, don't forget Volvo and Mac. We have these SCRs that are also for Volvo and Mac, but a slightly older model, but they are ready to go. And these have a tendency to give you trouble after a little bit of a time. They normally can be cleaned, but if you wanted to have one for replacement, give us a call or an exchange. So anyway, so what the video goes on about for the next couple of minutes is, talking about how we have these filters in stock, cleaned, ready to go, not for every truck in the road, but for some of the real popular ones, Volvo, Mac, the Cummins stuff, Detroit. And the customer's asking, or the person's asking, like, hey, could I just have one of these things and pop it on the truck and just not have to reset anything with the computer, that sort of stuff. Hang on a second here. I'm going to bear with me a minute. I'm going to, I can't let you join the live just yet because it'd be too confusing to have everybody talking, but check back later because I'll definitely like to have you come in. Anyway, so it's normally called a swing filter system, where you swing the old filter out, swing the new filter in. And the answer to your question, which is, can I just swap this thing out and not have to reprogram anything, is it depends. Because some trucks track not just the pressures, the differential pressures inside the DPF to determine whether it's time to clean the filters or run a regen. They also track mileage and or engine hours. That means if you swap a clean filter, or even a brand new filter into your truck to replace a dirty filter, there are some trucks that will need to have their mileage and or engine hour counters reset back to zero, or the truck may tell you that you need to clean and replace your filters even though you just put a perfectly cleaned filter on the truck. So depending on your truck, you may be able to just swap a new or reman filter in and be good to go, but other trucks will require a reset, which can only be done with a diagnostic computer. So there's your answer. It depends on your truck. But even if you need to do some resetting with the computer, it can still you can still be in and out in a matter of an hour or two versus being down overnight. Of course, when you do clean the DPFs, it's a multi-step process, and the final, well, almost the final, the second to the final step is uh, a regeneration bake overnight in an oven, and that does take about 12 hours. So you bring a truck in on a Monday, you can get it back Tuesday, but you can't get it back Monday unless you swap out filters. Um, anyway, so I hope that helps. I wish I had a more specific answer. It depends on your truck and other things like that. Um, all right, what do we got for question number 2? So, where is the speed sensor? Now, this question has no context right now. So, um, I did a video where I slid myself under a Freightliner Cascadia, and I thought I'd be really smart and show you where the speed sensor is located on the transmission. So, if a truck is in D rate, now again, maybe not every truck, but definitely the Cascadias, sometimes you can disconnect the speed sensor and get it out of D rate and make it to where you're going, make it to where you're going at a normal speed, and then get the problem fixed. So I want to show you the video that generated this question. Where's the speed sensor? And then admit that I'm not perfect because I actually gave bad advice. So let's take a look at the video first, and and then I'll tell you what I got wrong. Hey there, I am out of my usual environment, and right now I am on a creeper underneath a Freightliner Cascadia. This is not where you'd normally see me, but I wanted to show you something, so check this out. All right, here we are, and right above me is the trusty transmission and drive shaft, etc. And so if a mechanic or anybody tells you to disconnect your speed sensor and you were curious about where it was at, where it was located, it is right up here. And all you have to do is pull this latch down and pull this off and that connector off, and you have disconnected your speed sensor. And no, if you follow those instructions, you did not disconnect your speed sensor. And it was pointed out by an astute watcher, and I appreciate this. I wish I was perfect and was always right, but I'm not, and I'm more than willing to be corrected when the time comes. And it was not the speed sensor; was actually a range sensor for high and low. It is not the speed sensor, and I said, thank you for pointing that out for me. So the speed sensor is in the same general area around the transmission. It would be above the drive shaft, and but it's a very, very different looking piece. And let me show you what that looks like. And it is still on the transmission, but it is above the transmission itself. I'm kind of looking at the video here, and it's a piece that is actually a non-contact sensor that's looking at these bumps in the shaft, and that is the speed sensor. Um, so that's where the speed sensor is located. It's in the same general area, non-contact sensor. And so when you disconnect the speed sensor, you don't disconnect it from the harness or anything. You literally remove the sensor from the transmission, and then you would carefully zip tie it up out of the way. And even though your truck might want to be derated at 5 miles per hour, it's going to think that it's at 0 miles per hour because it's not detecting any speed at all. And in theory, will often, but not always, get you out of derate. So So there, I corrected myself. Please, I mean, if anybody has any suggestions or direction for any of the advice I give, I'm completely open to that. But just remember that if you have a truck that's in D rate, it's telling you that something's pretty wrong. And it can be telling you it can be in D rate because it's trying to prevent the engine from being damaged. So you really want to do this as a last resort. If you need to get home safely, finish the last few miles of something, but it's not something I would take lightly. Definitely talk to your mechanic about it. And this is to be used as a very, very temporary band-aid and not as a solution to the problem because you're only fixing a symptom and not the root cause. And thank you so much to the user who corrected me. I do my best to be accurate, but I'm not perfect. So your feedback is critical and welcomed to ensure that I'm delivering correct information, and it helps me do what I do even better. So thank you. And that is where the speed sensor is located, at least on a Freightliner Cascadia. What do we have next? Number 4. Oh, number 3. Hold on a second. Bear with me a second. Number 3 isn't really a question, more of a comment. Charging the customer hourly while recording TikToks. WTF exploding head. Apparently somebody was kind of fired up about the fact that I record these TikTok videos while I'm in the shop and often when I'm working on a project for a customer. So, not really a question, more of a commentary. But if anybody was curious about whether I'm getting paid to make these TikTok videos while I'm working on the filters, don't worry, you're not. The way that we charge for our services is by the job. It's all flat rate. So if you take 3 minutes to make a video, it's not costing you anything. Um, and I like making the videos. Hope if anybody is worried about this feels better. I like making the videos. I try to keep them fun and informative, but don't worry, the quality of the work we do comes before the TikTok videos, and no matter how long we take to make a video, it comes out of our pocket, not out of yours. So you got that? Make the video. It's not on the clock. And again, we do things by the project, by the filter, by the job, and not by the hour. And we find that sometimes things go quickly, sometimes they don't, and we do really stick by our guarantee, which is if we can clean it, we will charge you, and if we can't clean it, no matter how much time we put into it, there's no charge. So we encourage you to bring your stuff in. You have nothing to lose. um, and we can tell you very quickly what can and can't be done. We're in the DPF cleaning business. We're not in the filter selling business, though we do sell them. That's not our first goal. And realistically, out of 100 filters that we see, there might be only one or possibly two that we can't clean. So we have a 99% success rate. And we hope to have that with you if you ever come see us. All right. So number 4, what causes it to push forward because it was blocked? What causes it to be pushed forward? Question mark. Because it was blocked. Exhaust pressure pushing it forward. And so let me show you what they were asking about. I'm going to show you another video here quick, and then we'll talk about it. I'm hoping that some of you can use this video to save yourself some money in the future. The owner of this truck did not realize that the pushed out DPF media that slid forward and smashed his sensors could be repaired. He actually bought a new filter and gave us this one, which we're going to fix up and use as a spare. But all you had to do is push everything back into place, and check this out. And we will patch those nicks so they're good. The sensors can pass through. It is good to go. Thanks for watching. There you have it. So what normally causes the DPF media or substrate or brick, whatever you want to call it, to push out of place is when the DPF gets so dirty that it becomes like a cork instead of a filter. Now, that can either be just because of soot and ash buildup, or if the engine is puking out a lot more soot than it should, that can be caused by injector failure, can be caused by turbo actuator issues. Can even be caused by something as simple as a dirty air filter because your diesel's not burning really efficiently and it's burning really dirty. And that soot is almost like a rubber coating on the outside of the DPF in that case. And all it is at that point is like a cork, like a piston. And all of that exhaust pressure is with almost a ton of force or sometimes more on the DPF. It'll push everything out of place, causing damage to sensors and anything else in the way. So we can normally move the DPF media back into place and then secure it with small tabs to prevent it from moving again. But once it's thoroughly cleaned, of course, with a thorough cleaning, it's which it would be needed, and then the filter should be good as new. Even without the tabs, it shouldn't move, but we just want to make sure. So we'll push it back to where it needs to be, repair any sensors or replace any sensors that were damaged, and then you are good to go. All right, number 5. This is a good question that I get a lot. And the question is, do fuel additives work? Do fuel additives or DPF cleaner work? And these are normally additives that you add to the fuel, hence fuel additive. I get this question at least once a week, if not 10 times a week. And I really need to get a guest on here who specializes in additives and talk about this on the show, or do a separate video about it because I get asked about it a lot. I do have a friend of mine, a viewer and somebody who is I'm also a fan of, and he drives a Freightliner with a Cummins engine, and that thing has got at last I talked to him has 450,000 miles on it. Clint, if you're out there, you know I'm talking about you. Talking about you, and he has never even had to do a forced regen on this thing or parked regen at almost 500,000 miles. Of course, maintains the truck really well, has an APU, doesn't idle it, um, and barely idles at all, in fact. But he does use a fuel additive. And the thing is, what a fuel additive should do is um, if if diesel burned 100% efficient, meaning for every spoonful of diesel you dump into your engine, it burns every single molecule, you would have no emissions at all. But when it doesn't burn completely or doesn't burn efficiently, that's what produces the black exhaust, produces the soot. So if there's an additive that will allow your diesel fuel to burn more completely, it'll definitely make your DPF last longer because it will burn more efficiently, will give you better fuel economy, and will also burn more cleanly because it's burning more completely and produce less soot. But you need to weigh the cost. Again, it's like there's no free lunch. That additive is going to cost you something, and if the savings in DPF cleaning or in improved fuel economy doesn't offset the cost of the additive, it's simply not worth it. So let's say, the additive, just for the sake of math, costs $1,000 and saves you $200. Well, yeah, it saved you $200, but you're not, you're still upside down on that thing. But if you switch the numbers around, it costs you 200 and saves you 1,000. Heck yeah, that's well worth it. So you just need to find an additive that works. I will do some research for you on that. Um, and uh, and then find out more about the additives. And the other thing is, not only does it have to work, but you, as the owner of the asset, the owner of the vehicle, owner of the truck, have to do the work in adding the additive and proper amounts every time you fuel. Again, my friend Clint with the Freightliner with the Cummins, he brought his truck over for us to kind of show it off, and it is beautiful, by the way. Um, the his fuel additive is in a big tank on the back of his cab, and basically it's when he fills up with diesel, he puts in the appropriate number of ounces of the fuel additive right from the big tank, and so it's right there. So if you're doing fuel additive but you're not keeping up with it, it's not even worth doing. um, a a fuel additive shouldn't damage anything. Now it's just a matter of, does it actually work? Is it worth it? um, but you can't be half-assed. If you're going to be adding a fuel additive, you have to be committed to it. You have to make sure you always have it in your truck and make sure that you use it every single time. Um, Otherwise, you're just wasting money. So anyway, that's it. It's a quick and easy one. Um, if you need to get a hold of DPF guys, here is our info. 404-999-1361. We are in Atlanta. I'm going to quick check the chats. Nothing came in, so we're good there. Everything to answer. Anybody watching me on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, wherever you might be watching, we're going to be signing off here of the live, and then I'm going to be focusing on my friends on TikTok. So, by all means, I would like you to, if you're watching on YouTube and like to see more of me, and who wouldn't, jump over to TikTok and join our live. Otherwise, please feel free to ask any questions you may have just down below in the comments, wherever you might be. Leave your questions there. Otherwise, text them to us at 449991361. Thank you all for watching. Come back next week to see us again. And happy Sunday. Kick ass next week. Be safe if you're driving. And I'll see you soon.